Hey everyone, we are back to Talking Toads, another episode 15 or 16. I don't know who's counting.
Yeah, who knows anymore?
Time is flying by, I guess. It flies when you have fun, I think is what they say.
Other than last weekend, yeah, we've had some fun over here. It's crazy we're already a third of the season done, which is kind of depressing because you look forward to it so much during the summer.
It is. I can't believe it's already October. This week the calendar will change, and yeah, we finally have a home night game in the Carter in October. Maybe a little bit of a chill in the air. And when I say chill, it's probably mid 70s, but it sounds like it's going to be an amazing night at the Carter. And yeah, looking forward to previewing this one.
Yeah, so up next we have Colorado, 6:30 Central kickoff on Fox. So good primetime spot for the Frogs. And just going back to last week real quick, let's quickly touch on it. How are you
Okay,
feeling
fine.
overall? Have you are you a little less angry, less disappointed? Are you still pretty bummed? How are you feeling?
I'm definitely still bummed because I just keep thinking about the lead that we had. But of course, as time has gone on, I've been able to look at more of some of the positives. Um, I thought that our defense really improved from what we had been used to. There was definitely still some missed opportunities. I looked back at some of those turnovers; those drove me insane. That we could have grabbed early on in the game, and I think that could have made a bigger difference. But no doubt, I'm feeling a little bit better, and it's one of those losses where you just couldn't wait to get until next Saturday. So I want time to move a little bit faster because I want to get to the Colorado game so that it's way behind and way in the rearview mirror. What about
Oh
you?
yeah,
How are you feeling?
I was definitely bummed for a few days, and rewatching our podcast, I think I sounded a little too depressed. I'll admit I was very sad and upset, but I
It's
think I
fair.
could I think I could have come out with some more positives listed. But I feel like we covered the game pretty well, and yeah, let's just flip the page to Colorado.
Let's do it. Real quick, I guess, from last game and into this next game, injury wise, how are we looking? I know the injury report we've already talked about gives us no insight whatsoever. Sonny is very equivocal in his post practice interviews. Granted, it's early in the week, but anything you've heard on the injury front of how McAllister, Barnes, heck, even Lemmerman, any of those guys?
Yeah, so nothing on Limmerman or McAllister. Obviously, if McAllister can't go, that's going to be a big blow to the offense, kind of like what we saw last week. But one name that was kind of interesting, we follow pretty much every TCU football player on their Instagram from our Instagram account. And if you look at Kavorian Barnes, we're recording this Monday night, so I don't know if it'll be up tomorrow whenever we release the pod. But he had a cryptic Instagram story today. Would you like to know what all that entailed?
Yeah, please uh, divulge.
So he had an hourglass emoji. Then he had a caption of spin back. So I don't know if that emoji means like we're getting close to him being back. And spin back, I'm really not sure what that means. Maybe I'm too old for the college lingo now, but I don't know. To me, I interpret it as he'll be back very soon and maybe as soon as this weekend.
I hope so because, man, I think he makes such a difference. We know we've already talked about our struggles in the run game. I think this is a game where you can take advantage of a defense that has those holes in the linebacking core and in that second gear. So if you can get a guy like Barnes back for this game and truly exploit that, I think that gives you a huge competitive edge. But if not, it's the law firm of Pain and Battle are back. So yeah, not sure on the cryptic messaging. Running backs love to do that. That's like their
Yeah,
mo is cryptic emojis. You never know exactly if they're talking about off the field stuff or whatever. But I guess we'll have to just keep an eye on it. We won't know
and
until Saturday. That's the funny thing.
100%. Like you said, those injury reports are just complete BS. And one thing on Barnes, real quick. If you notice the last game against Arizona State, obviously Hoover was getting pressured a lot. And if we get Barnes back, he's a super underrated pass protector as well. We know he can get those grimy 3 or 4 yard carries and bust one every now and then, but he's super good at protecting the quarterback and knows which guy he's supposed to be picking up. So then again, if we just add him back this weekend, that's just another positive that he can bring to the team.
It's a good point. It's something we haven't really paid attention to. Have you noticed are our tight ends kind of supplying any sort of pass blocking when they bring in those packages? It's not something I've looked for, but maybe we should start looking at that.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't paying attention last game, but with the way our O line has been playing, especially the tackles, I'll get into that later. But our tackles, for the most part, haven't been rated super high on the PFF grades. I know the interior guys like Bennett, Deary, Strickland, Bruno, all those guys have been fine for the most part. But we're really seeing the pressure come in from the outside, either whether that be Ryan Hughes or Ben Taylor Whitfield, and they were rotating Quentin Harris last game as well at left tackle. So yeah, we'll see what happens this week. But against the defense we're facing in Colorado, we should be able to hold up a little better than we were last week. And we have to give Arizona State credit; they do have a pretty good defensive line. And I think that kind of goes under the radar with their team. They're known for being like those big pop plays, Levitt taking it down with his legs. So we'll see how we go against Colorado. But a thing I wanted to highlight real quick is, did you see what the spread was for this game?
I did. That took me
14,
by surprise too.
14 and a half seems like a little too much in my opinion. What are your thoughts on that?
It does, but I think that also just goes to show that TCU has a really good football team, and we can't lose sight of that after a 3-point loss, at Arizona State. And I think Vegas knows that too. We haven't lost in a while. I think we were saying we've been on a 9-game win streak, so I think that was part of it too. We just haven't felt that feeling in a while, but we know that this team is good after a loss. I do believe in the coaching staff to get them right. I think a lot of them remember the Colorado game 2 years ago and how that went at home. So I think there's just some extra juice after a loss like that, especially against this Colorado team, that plays into TCU's favor. So, yeah, the 14 and a half at first caught me by surprise, but as I'm reading more on this Colorado team, I think it is probably where it should be.
Yeah, if I had to place a number on it, it would probably be right around 10 or so. But yeah, 14 and a half just seems a little too high. But TCU is a super talented team. Really, anywhere you look on each side of the ball, we have good players everywhere. So I guess that would make sense. And just kind of going through Colorado's schedule real quick. They're coming off a tough loss at home to BYU last week, and they actually had a 14-3 lead in the first quarter. So they were another team who had a pretty big lead in the first and just couldn't hold it, just like we had against Arizona State.
Yep.
And another loss they had at home also was against Georgia Tech, who turns out to be a pretty good team. So two pretty tough losses at home against two pretty good teams, and they've also beaten Delaware 31-7. And they had a gross loss at Houston 36-20, and they also beat Wyoming 37-20. So yeah, they've been in some games, but they just haven't been able to seal the deal. But the one that really sticks out is that loss at Houston when they were playing that quarterback Staub.
Yeah, they've beaten two bad teams and lost to the three legitimate teams, I guess you could say, that they've played. They have yet to beat a Power Four team. Um, but you're right. That first week, and week one's always weird, but they were winning. They were beating Georgia Tech at first, and now we've seen a few weeks in that Georgia Tech team is for real. So yeah, this I think that kind of sums it up nicely. This Colorado team is not nothing. They're not someone to just toss aside, but they have a lot to be left kind of off the table too. So I think where they are, the record that they are, it perfectly emulates the type of team that they are. If that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, that record just sounds about right. And kind of a highlight of what you were just saying in particular is Dion at one point called their defense hot garbage. So that should give Hoover and the boys a lot of confidence when the team they're facing, their head coach, publicly admitted that their defense is hot garbage.
He's brought it up in a few of their post game interviews about how disappointing the defense has been. I think even a tongue in cheek comment that, well, at least we're better than they were last year. But you can tell that's their biggest weakness, aside from the QB revolving door that we'll get into. Their defense has a lot to work on. So this is me checking into the run the damn ball club again, but this is absolutely a game where you need to take advantage because that second half of their defense, that linebacker and beyond, it doesn't look like they know what they're doing out there.
Yeah, and we're a team that needs to find our identity running the ball, and this is the perfect team to do that against. So if we can't run against them, that's even more major red flags with the TCU run game. But we should be able to, as long as, gosh, I know I say it every podcast, but our O line just needs to get a decent push, and I feel like once we get consistent games like that, that'll all just take care of itself. So I think this is a good starting point against a poor run defense, and hopefully the run game can take off from there.
It is, and I know we got into it in the last episode too, just discussing the run game. But it's the play calling. You have to commit to the run game. I was looking. We've led in all of our games leading up to this week as well. We've had a lead in all of the games, and last week was the lowest amount of rush attempts that we've ever had throughout the season, and we were up 17-0. So at one point we just gave up on it, and that was super frustrating. I agree. Let the O line get in a groove. Let the running backs get in a groove. Find their holes and establish the run early so that you can continue to control the game clock later on in the game. And yes, this Colorado defense is certainly a team you can do that against.
Yeah, and so their defense isn't great, but let's get into the offense real quick. They do have a pretty talented roster on the offensive side of the ball, and this is kind of a not that sexy of a player to highlight, but their left tackle is super good.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Seaton, he's the highest PFF pass block grade in the country, so he's a stud. I'm assuming Paul Oyewale or Devin Deal will be going up against him.
Yep.
Then at quarterback, you mentioned they had a revolving door for a little bit. Caden Salter, he started the year, then they put in that Staub guy against Houston, and they did not like what they saw.
No.
And they put Salter back in, and he's a dual threat transfer from Liberty. So they have a good left tackle, and I think Salter's also pretty good as well. What do you know about their running backs and receivers?
Yeah, real quick on Salter. I think he is a better runner than a passer. He reminds me. He even has the look of Jalen Hurts at Bama. Just the way he tapes his ankles and the way he runs the ball. I mean, just watch for it. He looks like Jalen Hurts out there, and that's how he runs too. So he is talented, but I know Colorado fans are a little suspect on his passing ability. The running backs and wide receivers, Colorado, they're going to get some fun guys to kind of carry the ball around. A few guys, the running backs, Michael Welch and Simeon Price. They also have a few wide receivers. Joseph Williams is their leading wide receiver, but I know that they were really excited about Sincere Brown, who is a transfer from the FCS. Omarion Miller, Draylon Miller. So you got this kind of good stable of skill players. Sincere Brown, I remember reading in the preseason that he was the guy they were most excited about to kind of get the ball, and not to say that he was going to be a Travis Hunter type, but that was kind of the guy to replace him in the offense was Sincere Brown. He hasn't quite made that impact in the offense that they were hoping for. So knock on wood that I don't know who from our cornerback room is going to be one-on-one with Sincere Brown, but that's definitely a matchup that will make me a little restless.
Yeah, and I know we've kind of haven't said the best things about the corners, but I think last week they did hold up relatively well. Tyson, he's going to be the best receiver we faced all year, so I give them kind of a break on that. But yeah, no, the matchup again is going to be our corners against their receivers because they do have a good stable of guys, and they've only allowed 6 sacks on the year, which is pretty impressive. So that's just something to look out for. And another thing on Salter, I don't think he's as dynamic of a runner as Levitt is. So that'll just be interesting to see if we can hold him in play and see what his rushing yards will be at the end of the game.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, he's not as fast as Levitt, not as elusive as Jennings, but that's kind of his main deal. Kind of like Hurts. It feels like he wants to run first before he wants to make that tough pass. So yeah, I hate scrambling quarterbacks, but we're facing another one.
It's every week, I feel like, I mean, who else? We have Rocco Beck coming up, and I'm just singing off the top of my head. Sawyer Robertson, he's not that much of a runner.
He used to be able to run, not as much anymore, but
then Sorsby at Cincinnati, he's been running a little bit. So yeah, every week in the Big 12, I feel like every guy is a dual threat quarterback, and ours ours really isn't much. So
No,
he can pull it on like a 3rd and 5 on a QB draw, but yeah, Hoover's not the most athletic runner in the conference.
if I could pick at one thing that Hoover needs to work on that we obviously saw at the Arizona State game is his pocket presence, being elusive in the pocket, avoiding kind of the swinging arms that come at him. An elusive quarterback, that's what they do well. And if Hoover can add that to his bag of tricks, then man, he would obviously be a Heisman front runner. So he needs to work on that, and it's early. I still think he can get there.
That strip sack that happened against Arizona State, I'm sure you were watching the Packers at Cowboys game last night. That one
Yeah.
on Jordan Love was identical to the one on Hoover. It gave me like deja vu in a nasty way.
Yeah, you got to feel that pressure coming, and you got to put the ball, a little closer to you. Some guys don't feel it. Obviously, things are happening really fast, but Hoover's got to be better there.
For sure. And yeah, just going back to Colorado real quick, nothing too important to highlight on the defense. Their leading tackler is Tawfiq Bayard. Then also Keaton Wade and Arden Walker. They both have 1.5 sacks on the year. So not really two notable players on that side of the ball. But then again, I think for both of us, we just want to see the run game have a very strong presence in this game.
We do have a ex-Frog on this defense, Kylan Salter, who obviously is the brother of Caden Salter. Yep. He transferred. I think obviously he wasn't getting a ton of playing time for TCU, but then once his brother made the move from Liberty over to Colorado, he made the move as well. So he's not getting a ton of playing time. I think I saw 2 tackles on the year so far, but did want to shout it out. Always love when we can see some old friends.
It's weird because going back to 5 years ago or so, you would never see these intra-conference transfers from your old school. So it's just weird seeing a Frog on the other sideline. And if we had played Oklahoma State this year, that would have been extremely weird seeing Haas, who was supposed to be the future quarterback at TCU. So that just kind of shows you where we are with college football nowadays and just transfers happening left and right. And it's especially weird in interconference play.
Where is Baby To Cordell? Remember Cordell Russell transferred to Colorado? Is he still on
Yeah,
the team?
he was there for a year, I believe, and I think he ended up at a MAC school, maybe
Yeah.
Miami, Ohio.
Yep.
Is that
Miami, Ohio.
right?
Yeah. Way to go.
Wow. Ball knower right here. Look at
You're
us.
serious. I don't care what anyone says, Reed. You're smart. Okay.
Well, who's saying I'm not smart?
I'm
You?
not seeing any. I'm not seeing any stats at Miami, Ohio, but ESPN says he's there. So, gosh, who knows? Shout
Weird.
out Cordell Russell. I was pretty pumped when we got him, and that didn't quite work out. But
Yeah. Well, here we are. Hopefully he performs well at Miami, Ohio. But yeah, I thought he was going to be a stud.
if he's there, I guess. Yeah.
Exactly. Is there any thing or two you want to see in this game in particular? For me personally, I'll start. It's the same thing every week. Just run the ball, get a run identity going. Even if it's not working, just stick with it. But then again, you have to trust the O line. I know they haven't been that trustworthy so far, but you just have to keep sticking with it, and eventually something will click on that side of the ball. Then with our D line, we were getting a little pressure last game, but I just want to see that continue because I think that'll obviously help us benefit moving forward as we get along more in Big 12 play.
I need at least 150 yards rushing in this game, at least. If it's anything less than that, then something went awry because you absolutely should be able to get that. Obviously, I always want to see turnovers, but I just want to continue off of the kind of strong momentum that the defense built against Arizona State. It just felt like some turnovers were coming. So I want to see them capitalize on that. That's pretty much in health. I don't want any more hamstrings. If this is a game where McAllister has to sit out, I'm okay with it as long as you do establish the run. I think this is a game where you could possibly afford to not have a guy like Eric McAllister out there. So, health, establish the run, and let's get another pick for Bud Clark. He owes us one from last week.
He's due. He's due for sure. Going back to the injuries for a sec, I think we mentioned during the fall camp episode where it's weird. There's been no injuries so far. And we thought that was kind of foreshadowing of maybe there would be some significant injuries in the season. And here we are with our starting running back and our number one receiver.
It's definitely an underrated storyline for that Arizona State game. No excuses. We were leading, but to not have both of those guys out there certainly had a huge impact. Yeah, I want those guys ready to go for the final push of the season. And you're right. We got lucky during fall camp, but football is a battle of attrition. So keep it going and man, I keep going back to this. When you do establish the run and you control the clock, it is quite amazing what that does for the healthier team. The defense is more rested. Hoover's not having to do as much. Man, I just think if you can start off by establishing the run in this game, you're gonna like the results in the second half.
For sure. And yeah, the defense, it was nice seeing that the fans were giving them credit last game because I know they allowed, over 500 yards, but that was the fakest 500 yards ever. You could tell the defense was by far the better unit for TCU last week. And hopefully those two can both be great this weekend. Um, I know this was kind of a quick one. Wow, we're only at 21 minutes or so, but what's your prediction? What do you have?
I think I don't want to sound overly ambitious, but I think this is a game where TCU can reclaim that we're actual Big 12 contenders. So I'm going big win, 41-17. It's a big win. I know. I played with the 14-point line spread. I thought maybe they make it closer, but I really do feel like this is a team that's let down from last week, pissed about Colorado 2 years ago. And I think they know they're better than what they've been the last, let's call it 2 weeks. So I'm going TCU big win.
You made me just adjust my pick a little bit. You gave me some more confidence. I upped my TCU score a little bit. It was 30-20, but now we're going 42-20. So you gave, just because your speech and motivation right there, you gave TCU another 12 points in my book. So
I love it.
props to you.
What's also part of it too is I love that it's a night game at the Carter. If it was a night game in Boulder, or even if it was a day game in Boulder, I wouldn't feel. I'd still think we win the game, but I wouldn't be as confident. I think night game in the Carter, take care of business. Sounds like there's maybe a drone show at halftime.
Ooh.
I like the vibes.
How do you think the blackout's going to perform? The whiteout against SMU actually did pretty well, which was surprising because everyone was moaning about that, like, oh, why white if our team's purple, blah, blah, blah. But the whiteout turned well. So I think the blackout should be pretty good, especially because it's at night.
It'll look awesome. It always does, especially if they paint the end zone black, which I can't remember if they've done that in a while.
They did against the UCF blackout last year.
Oh shit.
Oh, whoops. Brought up a trigger for you.
Um, I think it'll look great. It is a bummer that Colorado, they're obviously, their colors are black as well, but they're going to look cool. They're probably going to be in all white with a gold helmet. Oh, we didn't even really have a jersey prediction, but here we go. Mine's black jersey, black pants, obviously. Um, and I think this is the game where they pull out the silver chrome helmets.
Since it's a blackout, I'm just going to guess black everything. Black helmet, jersey, and pants. It's pretty straightforward for this one, I feel like.
It probably is, but I wanted to change it up.
That's fair. Just switch it up a little. And yeah, Colorado, they do have sick jerseys. I love they're all white with the gold logo on the side with the buffalo. So shout out to them. But yeah, I think this should be a relatively, I hate saying this. I was going to say it should be a relatively easy game just based on paper, but obviously you have to play it on the field still. So yeah, 42-20.
I think it's fair to say if they don't control this game, we're going to be disappointed. I think that's very fair to say. That's not saying that we think we're this amazing team that should beat everyone. I think we all know that we are the better team. So I think that's very fair to say. It should be a loss or even a win that goes down to the wire. I think obviously would be disappointing. So I think that's all very fair to say. If this is a really good team like we believe they are, they should absolutely take care of business on Saturday night.
I agree. And one more thing, going back to the ASU postgame video, there were a lot of people in that comment section saying, "Oh, what gave these two bozos confidence that the Frogs were even good?" I'm like, they have a loaded roster everywhere you look, other than maybe the tackle position, which is obviously important. But if you just look up and down the lineup on paper, TCU is right up there in the Big 12 for one of the most talented rosters. Then people were also commenting like, I thought Hoover was supposed to be good. Everyone has a bad game, and he really got no help, A, from the offensive line, and B, from the receivers. People forget there were a couple key drops in that game last week. So, yeah, TCU on paper should have the talent advantage, and it should be hopefully relatively easy.
Yeah, I don't entertain those comments because we know how good this team was last year, especially to end the year. You know, winning 9 games really should have been a 10-win season. And then continuing on with the portal and knowing how good Hoover has been, there was no doubt we knew this team would be good. How good, I have no idea. But we were also up 17-0 and we let it slip away. So all to say, as I'm kind of walking through this out loud, I am feeling better than I did obviously Saturday morning after the loss, but I need to see them take control this weekend, and then I'll be fully back on
And
believing.
that's just part of being a fan. You have a horrible loss, it ruins your day, maybe your weekend. Then 3 days after, you're like, "Oh, we're gonna crush this team." It's like clockwork.
It's well, and I just need it. You know, you brought up the Cowboys. I mean, that Packers game ending in a tie. I just my brain needs more. I just
Yeah,
need something else. Like
you need to see a W in the stat sheet.
I need to see a W because man, it's been the last few days have been wild. All right, so we got our predictions in. How are we looking on the five big bets of the week? I think I know.
Yes. Yeah, you've had 2 good weeks in a row. You went 4-1 last week. Then I flipped my trend of what I've been doing. I went 2-3 last week instead of 3-2. So you're more on the extreme. I think you've gone 1-4 and to start. Then you've also gone 5-1 or 4-1 and 5-0. And I've gone 3-2 or 2-3. So hopefully that balances out. But still, we're both up on the year. I'm at 11-9, and you're at 12-8. So high five to you, bud.
I'm good at one thing lately, I guess. Um, all
Yeah,
right. Do
you
you want
go
me?
ahead.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. I mixed in some Big 12 games as always, but I'll start over in the SEC. I think Florida is not good at all. It's obviously not a hot take, but I was surprised to see that UT is only 7.5 point favorites. I know the game's in Gainesville, but I don't think Florida's good, and I think UT can easily beat them by more than a touchdown. So give me UT there.
Okay.
Mississippi State 13.5 point underdogs to A&M. Not just because I'm a DAT guy, you guys, for those that know me, of course, but I think Mississippi State's a good team, and I think A&M is good. But 13.5 points is quite a wide spread. So I'm actually taking Mississippi State there. I still think they lose to A&M, but I bet it's pretty close. So give me the Bulldogs there. The two Big 12 games that I picked, BYU, they're 20.5 point favorites against West Virginia. That game's Friday night in Provo. I watched a little bit of that West Virginia Utah game because I was just wanting to hope that West Virginia could maybe give Utah a little bit of a game.
Zero chance.
There was zero chance, and they have zero chance in Provo. I'm sorry, Mountaineers. I'm taking BYU there. I think it could be pretty ugly, pretty fast. And not to say BYU is this unstoppable force. I just think West Virginia is that bad. So taking BYU there, the 20.5 point spread. The other Big 12 game is Baylor. They're 5.5 point favorites against Kansas State. That game's in Waco from what I remember seeing. I think Kansas State is still not very good. And when they're away, they're really not very good. So I hate to say it. I'm going to take Baylor. I think Baylor easily wins by a touchdown. So I'm taking Baylor 5.5 there. And then the last game, Clemson and North Carolina. I'm always kind of peeking over at North Carolina just to see what that week one what it really was. Clemson is 13.5 point favorites. I know we talk about Klubnik almost every week. We know Clemson is not Clemson this year. So I'm actually going to take North Carolina to cover that 13.5. I still think they lose, but that's me just hoping that they can somewhat look like a real team to help us out a little bit. So give me North Carolina there with that 13.5 point spread.
How could you even pick that Clemson North Carolina game? That is disgusting to look at.
I'm telling you, I would never watch that game, but uh, the fact that we killed North Carolina, we owe ourselves to watch that team just to see what they really are.
I think what they really are is not very good, like you just said. I can't really talk though because I have a disgusting bet on here as well. The first one I'm going to go with though is a weird one in the Big 12. Cincinnati -1.5 at home against Iowa State. That line just seems very fishy to me. And Iowa State, they're obviously undefeated and the higher ranked team. But Cincinnati, they're the favorite at home. So I think that's Vegas telling you something. So I'm going to go with the Bearcats there. This is my
Real
gross.
quick
Yeah,
on
go
that
ahead.
one, if you're, I mean, for our rooting guide, which we're going to start posting every week, who do we want to win that game? We play both of them.
Probably Cincinnati because I think they'll have more losses at the end of the year than Iowa State will,
Yep. Okay.
if that makes sense.
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, here's my gross bet of the week. We love the troops, but this game is going to be gross. Air Force and Navy under 50.5. Two triple option teams. I just don't see there being 7 touchdowns in that game. Am I wrong?
No, and that's definitely a game I will not be tuning into. I'm sorry.
And I also picked a Navy game last week against Rice, and Rice ended up covering. So
Yeah.
sometimes you just have to look for the gross ones and hope and pray your picks
Right.
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 Then we'll go to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Vandy over 56.5. Alabama looked great at Georgia last week. Ty Simpson, he's starting to really come along. I know he had that blunder week 1 against Florida State. Then Diego Pavia, he beat Alabama last year, and they've been putting up points every game. So I see that game going over. Texas Tech -10.5 at Houston. It's their second Big 12 game of the year. The first one, or their second on the road, actually, as well. I just see them making another statement here. Houston's not very good. And it'll be interesting to see who Tech trots out there at quarterback, whether that's Baron Morton or Will Hammond. So give me Tech 10.5. Then another kind of gross one, Maryland +6.5 at home against Washington. Washington's coming off that tough loss at home. They were in the game for a while, then they just kind of fell apart. And they also have to fly across the country. And I feel like every time you fly that far, your team's not going to perform that well in college, at least. So give me the Terps there, 6.5.
I like it. I like it. That Tech Houston line is actually closer than I thought, but I guess, Houston, to their credit, is playing well. 10.5 points just doesn't seem like a ton for a. So maybe Vegas knows that. Is Morton not playing? Is it concussion or what's his injury?
I believe it was a neck, but the thing about the Texas Tech quarterback situation is I think the backup, Will Hammond's better than Morton. And I've been saying that since last year whenever he came in the game against us at home in Fort Worth. Morton really wasn't doing much. Then Hammond came in and just ran all over us and threw all over us as well. So I don't want to help Texas Tech out here, but I think they're starting the wrong guy.
Yeah, I wonder if their coaching staff is listening right now. Thanks a lot. Just give them that little tidbit.
Exactly. Joey McGuire listens to this every Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah. Man, we're big Houston Cougar fans this weekend then because that would just be nice. We like I said, we're going to start posting some rooting guides. Not that we're in any sort of panic mode, but when you do have a loss in the Big 12, because it's such a gauntlet, you need to be kind of looking around to your left and right. So we'll be posting those. That's a really fun game. I actually didn't realize the line was that close. So I like them. Let's see what we got for this week.
Yeah. I was gonna pick the Mississippi State game. I love the Bulldogs there, but you had it first, so I couldn't pick it. But yeah, anything else for the Colorado TCU game?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I'm really excited to see what the crowd is like. I think if you're going, please get behind the players because I think they need to pick me up. And I think once we get rolling with some big run plays and Hoover starts to get in his groove again, with or without McAllister, we're going to start to see that mojo back with Hoover and the rest of the guys. So I'm excited, man. We'll have to we'll do a reaction pod after the game as well. And are you going to the game?
TBD, I think so. But if not, I'll do another live stream on the YouTube channel. So let me know in the comments if y'all even watched that. I don't think many people did. But if you enjoyed it, just let us know. And I think we'll probably be doing those for every away game this year as well. And either Lesher will be on there or one of our friends will be. So it's just not me next time boring y'all to death.
No, we'll get better at that. It's just, sometimes it's tough, and I was so in the zone with Arizona State that it was tough to break away to do a live portion. But we'll get there. Fans are dying for it, so we'll get there. Don't worry.
Exactly.
I
But
I won't be at the game, but you know where I will be, and that's Buff Bros. How about this segue? This episode
love
of
it.
Talking Toads, again, is brought to you by our friends at Buff Bros. It's the go-to spot for wings and pizza and all things sports right off the TCU campus. Don't forget, even tonight, they have some daily specials. It's Pizza Mondays, where every pizza is 50% off. If you can't make it tonight, Wing and Wednesday is also a great option. 5 wings for $5 or 10 for just 8. So all offers are available, dine in or to go. Delivery straight from BuffaloBrosTexas.com. They show more than just football, though. So even if you're not going to be there for the Colorado game, you can go the next day for some NFL football. They have UFC, WWE. There's no cover charge. It's just a great place to go. So we can't thank Buff Bros enough for continuing to give us some ad space here on these episodes. They should give us a shout out on their Instagram. So please go like and comment there. Talk about how handsome we are. And yeah, thanks again, Buff Bros. We love the support.
Shout out B Bros, we love you. And one last thing before we sign off here, please just like, comment, subscribe, drop your TCU Colorado predictions in the comments. And y'all can argue with yourselves there. I know we had a lot of arguments in the Arizona State post-game show, but we love seeing it. Any engagement's great, and it's interesting seeing all the thoughts about each game, the position groups, etc. So we appreciate y'all listening, and until next time, go Frogs.
All right, go Frogs, run the ball. Jeremy Payne, 3 touchdowns.